Mazda proudly brings you Campbell Live.
Kia ora everyone, we begin tonight in Japan. We're talking soon to a radiation expert about what's happening at the Fukushima nuclear plant. Concerns outside Japan that it's now, quote, out of control. Is it? And if so, what happens next? But we begin with our team working their way along the tsunami-ravaged east coast. They'd arranged to meet the New Zealand Search and Rescue team, but snow closed the very small number of roads still left open. And Chris Jones and Lachlan Forsyth found themselves stuck in a place where the impact of the tsunami has been so great, it's almost impossible to imagine what was there before.
I'm not sure any amount of pictures or words or experience can ever prepare you for a scene like this. Until last week, the port town of Minamisenraku had a population of around 17,000. After the tsunami, less than half that population remains. On Friday afternoon, almost 10,000 people were lost to the waves. What makes this tragic event even more poignant is Minamisenraku had made preparations, but none of those preparing ever expected anything like this. Behind us here is the sea wall. It was built to protect the town. You can see how just ineffectual it was. These buildings behind it, 3-4 stories high. The water has just gone right over top of them, and as the waves washed around, they slammed into all these hills here, and anything that stood in the path of those waves is gone. This entire town has just been obliterated. In the midst of such complete ruin, it's hard not to feel completely insignificant. As always with events like this, mementos are scattered about, reminders of life before Friday afternoon. I'm not alone in feeling overwhelmed by the sheer scale of this disaster. Campbell Live cameraman Chris Jones has 20 years of experience. Even he's still shocked at what we've seen.
The destruction here is as complete as you could have from any natural disaster. I mean, I don't know how anybody would have survived this. The search teams have been going through today and we haven't seen a single body being pulled up. That's how complete this destruction is.
When the tsunami sirens sounded, many residents fled to evacuation centres situated on higher ground. But much of that higher ground still wasn't high enough. From here we can see right across the entire seaward side of Minamisenraku, in what was once a busy town is now unrecognisable. But even standing here 15-20 metres above sea level, we can see signs that the water has just washed right over top of this point where we're standing now. So much destruction. So many gone. Teams of searchers fan out across what was once a town but is now a wasteland. The town has been divided into grids, and grid by grid they go about their task, picking at cars, picking at debris, picking at what used to be houses. The temperature hovers around a few degrees, but as the day goes on it drops well below zero. There is a constant stream of rescue workers, soldiers, support crew. The recovery operation is enormous. There is no talk of rescue, the complete devastation, the awful cold, and 6 days since the waves. There is no hope here.
A short time ago I spoke to Lachlan Forsyth about the area he's in, and the New Zealand Search and Rescue team are also in, just along the coast, an area devastated by the earthquake and the tsunami, and now, as if things weren't bad enough, they're covered by very heavy snow.
Good evening, John. We're here in downtown Minamisenraku, what was once downtown. We estimate this is the size roughly of the Auckland CBD and surrounding waterfront, and it has all just been laid waste. There is nothing that hasn't been impacted by the tsunami. We came here to find the New Zealand Urban Search and Rescue team. This is where they're based, led by Jim Stewart-Black. Quite simply, we cannot get to them. It is icy, it is snowing, it is treacherous, as you can see. There is no power, there is no communication. Nonetheless, we know that they are here. We know that they will do the job until they are no longer needed. But the task ahead of them is just immense.
Lachie, where are you guys and the search and rescue people staying there? And how are the surviving locals coping with you all in these appalling circumstances?
Well, we stayed up on a hill in a high school, or rather in our car outside a high school. There are some local residents who have been staying up there in an evacuation centre. There are also support workers who are cooking for the rescue teams here, Japanese media. By and large, people came up to thank us, not just because they want this story shared with them, but they're so touched by New Zealand's contribution to this, having our own urban search and rescue teams here. They really appreciate that. And so often the first thing that they would say to us is they would ask after Christchurch, and they wanted to know how Christchurch was. They've got this to deal with on their own doorstep, and they're still concerned about what we're going through down in New Zealand. But more than anything, they just wanted to say thank you. They really do appreciate any assistance that they are getting in this most terrible of situations.